Next up is Ryan Skeggs. Ryan is the MD of Digital and Data at CSM, and he is going to show you, among other things, how CSM unlock their partners' leverage, their audience data, and how to unlock more revenue.
So yeah, the question, data, the $835 billion question. Just keep that question in your mind, and we'll come back to that in a moment. At our business, what I do is I build and implement data commercialization strategies. And the reason why I do that is, or the reason we do that, sorry, as an organization, is because we believe that sport and sports properties themselves should be a lot more commercially sustainable. So we help them figure that conundrum out. And we also want to make sport a lot more accessible for fans moving forward. I'm going to skip through this slide pretty quickly, but I guess it's why are you up here, Ryan? What gives you the experience to be discussing this topic? So essentially what we're doing is we're creating a quicker path to growing audiences. So I know the two previous speakers were talking about growth of their audiences, but we take it a step further. And actually there was a question asked earlier about what do you do with your first party data? So I'm actually going to take you through what we do with first party data to commercialize that for brands and sponsorship partners, but then also for the rights holders from a direct to consumer point of view as well. And the acid test for us is that this number here, it's actually a little bit out of date. We haven't updated our numbers. It's actually close to $600 million. So we've generated close to $600 million for our partners from direct revenue, so demonstrable ROI. And I was listening to a podcast actually a couple of weeks ago saying it can't be done. It can definitely be done. It's done in other media sectors, but sport is one of the last ones to do that. And then secondly, on the right-hand side here, this will change. We've literally just branded to Wasserman. If you wasn't aware, CSM, we were acquired by Wasserman, big US agency. We're literally branding. I was in a very important meeting this morning about rebranding. Probably shouldn't have this up here, but we have our own index, which is an aggregation of over 4,000 activations we've run on behalf of rights holders and brands and their partners to see the uplift in IP and the assets that they provide through sponsorships and partnerships. Essentially what we're saying is for every dollar that you spend, Mr. Brand, in sport, that is the equivalent in other channels of you spending $2.27. So we really undervalue IP and assets in the sports industry sector. So over the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to talk you through why we do what we do, how we do what we do, because I'm very conscious that a lot of people come up and speak, or you have consultants come into your organizations and don't give you the how. And I'm going to share some of the results that we see in what we do as well. But firstly, let's just take a step back and look at some of the macro trends that are affecting the broader ecosystem, broader industry sectors, but definitely affects our industry sector in sport. So number one is evolving technology. Number two is there is a significant disruption that is taking place right now with where brands are spending their digital advertising dollar. Number three is consumer behavior. So we've already talked about consumer behaviors and Manchester City doing a fantastic job, as well as other football clubs and other sports organizations that we engage with as well to engage with those fans. But ultimately that leads to new commercial models and reconfigurations of commercial models for sports organizations that help them become more sustainable moving forward. So looking at technology, we work with a lot of different sports organizations across the globe. We get asked to come in and do a lot of discovery sessions on their digital maturity. Essentially, how can they make money from their digital assets? So, and what we tend to find is that one of two things. You've either got amazing human capital, so you've got really talented people within your organization, but you don't actually have the right technology at your fingertips to deliver what they're being asked to deliver from a commercial returns point of view. So therefore, those departments tend to be seen as a cost center when they definitely shouldn't be. Or it's the other way around. They've got amazing technology come in, as SaaS platforms come in, and they've signed up for a 7-figure deal. We hear this quite a lot, but actually the human capital isn't there to understand what to get out of that technology. So then that technology is quite redundant and is not fit for purpose. And again, becomes a cost center, a sunk cost to an organization, which I do not like. Secondly, this is very important. So what's going on in the digital ecosystem at the moment is, I'm not going to get into the technicalities of it, but essentially by 2026, there will be around about circa $835 billion spent on digital advertising. You can wipe off 50% of that because that normally goes to the big platforms. The reason it goes to the big platforms, just to be clear, is because, I don't know if anyone, I'll put a question out to you. Do you know why that 50% of that revenue will go to the big platforms like your Googles, the FANGs, the Facebook, sorry, not Facebook, Meta, X's of this world? It is a monopoly. They have a fantastic platform ecosystem, but it's to do with the first-party data that they have on their audiences. That's why the brands go to them, because the brands know that these platforms know more on their audiences than you do as sports properties or any other media owners that are out there. However, there is a changing of the guard. So not since 2007, since a small ad tech company came to the fore called MediaMath, who were the first company to deliver programmatic advertising, have we seen such a change, a disruption in where the digital ad dollar will go from 2025 and beyond. So there is a deprecation of what we call cookies that you're all aware of that will track you around, and they're the great things and very inefficient, I would say, is that you book a hotel or book a flight to go to Portugal, and the very next day you get served adverts by the very same company that you've just booked you've booked that flight through. What a waste of media that is, right? So that's what cookies do. That's my opinion, but that is what they do. But the other thing to notice here is that for so long, I come from a financial background. I worked in finance for 12 years. I worked for media owners for 12 years as well. And then I've only come into the sports sector in the last 6 years, sorry. 7 years, sorry. God, I'm showing my age. I'm the wrong side of 40, unfortunately. But this spend here is 9 times bigger than what the sponsorship teams that we work with, who are all fighting over this $84 billion that's predicted to be by 2026 in sponsorship. And our point is going, well, you're very good at doing that. You're always going to do that, and that's amazing, and brands will want that for one set of a reason. But if you could demonstrate more value in the value proposition to a brand, then you should be starting to take a slice of the pie of this $835 billion. And I'll show you some of the examples that we've got as well coming up. The consumers. So I recently did a course at Cambridge University, and I met this amazing professor called Dr. Kamal Manur. You should follow him on LinkedIn. He puts so much information out there for the general public, which I think is amazing, come from some of the courses that these guys curate. But I don't think any of us would disagree with this with our own interactions. If you think about outside of sport, the platforms that you engage with, whether it's iOS, whether it's Netflix, Spotify, if you use Deezer in different countries, they all offer personalization. So these are kind of like the 4 prerequisites we're always looking at when we're looking at engaging fans is make it relevant to them, so personalization, immediacy. With the growth of Amazon and everything that happened, it's actually in pre-COVID and then post-COVID accelerated that, is I want it now. Give me what I want, and I want it right now. Value for my time, make it worth my while. And conveniency, make it easy for the audience to either engage the content you want to put in front of them on the platform that they want to be spoken to, or if you're selling a product or service, make it really easy for them to buy your product or service. When I say it out loud, it sounds so kind of intuitive that should be the case, but that isn't always the case in sport. And I think we can do a lot better job at doing that with regards to how we engage fans. So those 3 trends put together, they create opportunities for rights holders. And what are those opportunities? So as I said already, rights holders are exceptionally good at taking this sponsorship revenue, what we call traditional sponsorship revenue. But with the uplift of IP and assets, actually this number is so undervalued in the marketplace. Now, 2 of the media owners that I worked with, one of them is a digital-only media owner. I'm not going to name the name. But I was high up in the commercial team there, and our turnover per year for a digital property was over $80 million per year. And when I come into the sports world, I just couldn't get my head around the sports audience who are passionate, super passionate about the products that they're following, which is your brands as rights holders. They've always got the attention and retention of that audience because there's always something to talk about. It's something we would have dreamed about in the media owner world. Sports organizations have that. But the one thing that they're missing is creating these new digital partnership assets. So when we go and speak to rights holders, a lot of the time they're like, oh, we've got 45 partners, we've got 13 partners, 15 partners, whatever it is. I've got nothing else to sell them. Okay, but you do have your audience that you haven't valued whatsoever, You've got your social channels, you've got these huge audiences that you can tap into that are highly passionate about you as a brand, as a rights holder. And there is an infinite opportunity to create different digital assets. And I'll show you a few examples we've done for some of our clients. And then the last bastion here is, once we get everything correct, and we do this for a few rights holders out there at the moment, is why not share in the upside? So if you're generating revenue for your partners, significant revenue for your partners, but you need to know you're generating that revenue for your partners, why would you not reconfigure your commercial models and your rights schedule? The world is changing. The sports commercial model, as we all know, has been the same for some 30, 40 years, but everything around us has evolved. This has evolved as well and should evolve and will keep on evolving. And the guys that get these two elements right on top of this as an additive, we're not saying take away from that, as an additive to that, you will start unlocking more budgets from these larger budget pools that brands will bring to the sports ecosystem. Essentially, there's three core elements that we're always looking at as an organization. We're looking at how can we engage with the audience, and what we mean by that is we're building activation frameworks for our clients. So the example I've got here is Saudi Airlines. We do a lot of work in the GCC region, but Saudi Airlines become a partner of Formula E some 2 years ago, I think it was, and we were looking at the right schedule, and they had certain objectives. One of those objectives was they wanted to capture data to go into a new CRM program that they were doing, but they also wanted to be able to commercialize that data through using Formula E IP to speak to the audience in a more considered and meaningful way. So we created a framework, looked at the right schedule, and created this activation framework. Then it enabled us to build out a platform, a sports partnership platform for Saudia, which is our grow element, which meant that was a honeypot, essentially, of bringing an audience in, having an opportunity to speak to an audience. Every week there's a race on, and actually pre the season, during the season, and post-season. But ultimately, all we're doing here, this from the engage to the grow element, all we are doing is creating a value exchange between Saudia, in this instance, Saudi Airlines, and the consumer or the fan. But once we get that right, that value exchange, that enables us to collect reams of first-party data, which I'll come on to in a moment. But that enables Saudia to capture value or more value from their partnership. So the value proposition here is in the value chain here is that the fan's getting an enhanced experience. We're not here to disrupt the fan experience. We're here to enhance that fan experience. And we always say that to the brand partners or rights holders that we work with. You need to be subtle in the way that you're doing it. And the brand themselves, they get to capture value through first-party data acquisition, which also we communicate with those audience with and push them through the funnel to make a sale. And the Saudi example has actually generated over $21.2 million to be precise, in the first year of working with them in sales. So the types of data that we're collecting is it'd be very similar to a lot of you out there. So we collect demographic, geographic, behavioral, and psychographic data. But what I want to draw your attention to here is the prospect opportunities on the left-hand side. So we cater this specifically for the partners that we work with. So people, I can't remember who it was the Kick-based guys, I say, doing some cool qualitative survey or qualitative analysis, sorry. So we're doing a similar thing, but obviously we're collecting the first-party data element, but then we're actually trying to find out specifically, when are you looking to travel? How often do you travel? Are you a business traveler? Are you a family traveler? Do you like discounted deals? You know, what is going to float their boat so we can keep communicating through their passion point of sport, which obviously gives a rich pool of data that we pass back into Saudi for their broader marketing and communication strategies outside of their sponsorship deals also. The other example I wanted to give you is the performance upside model. So this is actually a live example. So we work with an insurance company that works across 17 regions across Asia. They have a partnership with a Premier League football team at this current moment in time. And just by using that IP and the assets that we had available in that right schedule, we built out some digital assets and communication tools to create that value exchange initially with the fan. And over a course of time, we've been able to qualify, gain leads, grow the audience, qualify those leads. So the example I gave you of Saudia, flip that around, and the questions we're asking, it's, you know, are you looking at general insurance, house insurance, life insurance? What might it be? Who's your favorite player? Because we deliver content that is relevant to the audience to hopefully help them push them through the funnel, as I say. But the example here, if I go from top left, is that we know, so the insurance provider was letting us know, because they were amazed by the results that the partnership was driving. We know that they pay circa $100 to another agency cost per lead. So that's getting qualified leads into their sales team to go and sell insurance policies. Just by overlaying the IP and the rights and the assets that we had available to ourselves, we'd driven that cost per lead down to $16.27. That is a phenomenal media efficiency saving for the client. So our point, if you looked at the delta of them, so these are real numbers, by the way. They actually spend about $150 million a year on cost per acquisition, leads, whatever you want to call it. But these numbers here, and this is what they were telling us, is that you'd actually, well, they didn't know this number, sorry, it's $16.27, so we kept that internal. But to the football club we're speaking to is going, why would you not take a slice of this $83 million? Because they're paying someone $100 million. You're already providing better qualified leads. They're converting, and there's this huge delta there. So why would you not take some of that on top of your partnership deal that you're already doing? These are some of the real life results, and we have a myriad of case studies to show. And this isn't a hard sell. This is more, we want the industry to be more educated on what you have at your fingertips, and stop undervaluing what you have at your fingertips, which is your fans, which essentially, from a brand's point of view, are consumers. So these are some real life examples, and these are the kind of 4 things that we often get asked to look at when we're working with brands to understand, what is it you really want to get out of this partnership? And to be perfectly honest, most of them, and I really liked what Rob said earlier from Manchester City, is that they don't care about the vanity metrics anymore. What they want to see is they want to see real business impact. Can you drive me media efficiency? If I use sport as a channel and I get pulled out in front of CFOs with long Excel spreadsheets going through attribution modeling and looking at media efficiency numbers to prove that if you invest 10, 5, 2, $20 million, you're going to get some form of media efficiency and return on investment in one way, shape or another. Can you future-proof my marketing? So with everything going on with the cookieless world, it's something to consider is that all the brands that we speak to are moving to customer-centric models. And to be customer-centric, you need to know more on your audiences and your consumers. So they are building out their own first-party data strategies as well. And then lastly, can you drive me commercial impact? Yes, we can, is the answer to that. But we just need to show a way to demonstrate that to the audiences that we're speaking to, the clients that we're speaking to, sorry. But lastly, just to walk away, just some food for thought for you to think about when you go back to your respective clubs, is that looking at it in a slightly different way, it does enable you to create new revenue opportunities, both B2B and B2C. Most importantly, it enhances the fan engagement. It enhances that experience by offering a more personalized experience, the immediacy, the conveniency, and the value for their time and money. And it will give you a differentiation in market. There is a danger that we are becoming a commoditized entity. And if I'm a CFO, looking at a bit, and I speak to a lot of these CFOs, and the question they ask me a lot is go, why would I not just give $20 million to Meta? Why do I not give $30 million to Google? Because they create all this revenue for us. And that is it. Thank you.